I'm not trying to be hateful or like bitter or like pick a side either way on any issue. Don't read too much into that. Take it on face value. I don't know. I'm ignorant, not. What's up, squad? It's your squid. You know what the video is about because of the title and the thumbnail. I did a bit of a 180. I wasn't going to do any military content on the channel. Then I did one the other day and heaps of people watched it. So I figured, you know what? Someone suggested this in the comments and I wanted to watch it. So we're going to watch it. Hit the like and subscribe button. Subscribe. The Green Beret who went on a one-man rampage.
Roy Benavidez. The Vietnam War.
Alright.
Roy Benavidez's life had been rough as a child. Both his parents had died. He was bullied by his classmates because of his mixed Yaqui Indian and Mexican heritage and had to leave school in 8th grade to help his family. At the age of 19, Benavidez joined the Army, serving in the Korean War in the Texas Army National Guard. He married Hilaria Lala Coy Benavidez in 1959 and completed airborne training.
I like that we're getting a bit of a background on the dude.
82nd Airborne Division. In 1966, Sergeant Roy Benavidez was in hospital after stepping on a landmine. Doctors said he would never walk again. He had been sent to Vietnam in 1965 as an advisor for the ARVN troops there. Benavidez was carrying out a classified operation alone to gather evidence that the North Vietnamese troops were posing as Viet Cong. While he was on patrol, along a narrow trail disguised as a Viet Cong guerrilla, he stepped on a landmine. Sometime later, a lot of Marines came across Benavidez. They initially thought it was a booby trap, but were surprised when they flipped him over and discovered the man in Viet Cong pajamas was Hispanic and wearing U.S. Army dog tags. He was soon evacuated to the hospital. In hospital in the U.S. 2 months later, Benavidez had recovered.
Good old dog tags, huh? Thankful.
His memories came
these aren't dog tags. I don't know why I reached for them.
He would never walk again. His spine had been damaged, and his brain had rattled in his skull. Nevertheless, Benavidez, sitting in his wheelchair, begged the doctors not to discharge him from the Army. The Army was his life. Determined, Benavidez got up from his bed night after night, dragging himself to the wall and putting weight on his legs. For weeks, he pushed through the pain, going further in distance than before, which surprised the doctors. 6 months later, with his wife Lala's support, Roy Benavidez walked out of the hospital.
Badass.
He was promised only a desk job at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, but determined and exercising every day, he trained vigorously and qualified for the Special Forces, also known as the Green Berets. He would be assigned to Detachment B-56, 5th Special Forces Group Airborne, 1st Special Forces.
I should look into the Green Berets.
6 hours in hell.
I know nothing about them. Let me know in the comments. Give me a link or something.
Now it was 1968. Staff Sergeant Roy Benavidez, now with the code name Tango Mike, was back in Vietnam and was off duty attending church, but his mind was fixed on the panicking radio chatter from the front lines. In Loc Ninh, Vietnam, near the Cambodian border, a 12-man Special Forces reconnaissance team, which included his close friends, Sergeant First Class Leroy Wright, Staff Sergeant Lloyd Frenchy Mousseau, Specialist 4 Brian O'Connor, and 9 Montagnard tribesmen who were part of the Civilian Irregular Defense Group Program, or CIDG, were surrounded by a battalion numbering 1,000 battle-hardened North Vietnamese soldiers. Everyone in the unit had been wounded or killed in earlier fighting, and 3 of the helicopters sent to rescue them had been unable to extract them due to heavy enemy fire. When the helicopters returned, they were riddled. What's
the rule there? Like, because it seems like in the last video I reacted to, in terms of military content, it was the first Medal of Honor ever recorded. If you haven't seen it, I'll leave a link to it at the end of the video. My reaction, that is. But like, the thing for me is like, what's the rule of like? Because it seems like it's don't leave anyone behind. Because they went back to get that guy in the other one. But then they left the guy that won the medal of won the Medal of Honor. But you know what I mean? Like they left that guy behind, and it's like there's people down there, but we got to bail because they'll get the helicopter. Maybe, I don't know. Like explain the logic or the rules if you can. Let me know. And there's like I'm not trying to be hateful or like bitter or like pick a side either way on any issue. Don't read too much into that. Take it on face value. I don't know. I'm ignorant, not fucking
had been hit several times
being a dick, you know?
In Benavidez's arms. There was no way Benavidez was going to leave his friend. Everyone in the unit had been wounded or killed in earlier fighting, and 3 of the helicopters sent to rescue them had been unable to extract them due to heavy enemy fire. When the helicopters returned, they were riddled with bullets. One of them, the door gunner, Michael Craig, age 19, had been hit several times and died in Benavidez's arms.
Shit.
There was no way Benavidez was going to leave his friends out in the jungle. Benavidez jumped onto a returning helicopter that was going back in, volunteering so quickly that he didn't have time to get his M16, so was only armed with a Bowie knife and medical supplies. Benavidez described it as going into autopilot. As he was approaching the extraction zone, Benavidez realized his fellow team members were too severely wounded to run the distance to the helicopter. There was so much enemy gunfire that the pilot, Larry McKibben, had to zigzag in an attempt to dodge it.
Zigzag.
Less able to provide cover and fire.
Jesus.
Benavidez jumped out with a medical bag, ran through the jungle to the wounded men under heavy enemy fire, taking a shot to the leg, which he initially thought was a thorn bush. He found himself against a tree whose eyeball had been shot out and was hanging down his cheek, but was determined to keep shooting back.
Yeah, badass.
CIDG were in a pool of blood, patched up as best they could. Benavidez dragged everyone into a defensible position to direct their fire at the enemy and provided morphine to the wounded. He then sent O'Connor and an interpreter CIDG who he motioned to move over to him, but the gunfire started again, and they took cover. Another round then hit Benavidez in his thigh. On adrenaline, he popped the green smoke for McKibben in the rescue helicopter to pick them up. While everyone who could move got into the chopper, he suppressed the tree line with an AK-47 he had picked up to cover O'Connor and the interpreter who crawled towards the helicopter. Now Benavidez was looking for the team leader, Sergeant First Class Leroy Wright, who had been killed and who also had intel on him that could not get into enemy hands. Benavidez found his body and proceeded to drag him to the chopper when he was shot again.
Probably added to the desperation, right?
And hit in the back by shrapnel from a nearby grenade, knocking him out. When he awoke, Benavidez was forced to leave his dead friend's body. Disaster had also struck. The chopper had crashed to the ground from enemy fire. The pilot, McKibben, was dead. 5 of the men on board, including Mousseau, survived the crash, as did O'Connor and the interpreter who didn't get into the helicopter. Benavidez pulled them out of the wreckage, dispensed morphine, set up a perimeter around the crash site, and called in heavy air support from the F-100s above, who dropped napalm on the enemy position.
Okay,
the jets ran out of fuel and had to leave. The enemy machine gun fire started again. Benavidez gave O'Connor a
did he have an unlimited supply of morphine or what?
Their position was surrounded by North Vietnamese soldiers. It looked hopeless. But a helicopter finally came to their rescue. Benavidez and the rescue team carried and dragged the wounded men onto the chopper, but the landing zone was still being fired upon by NVA troops, to the extent that 2 men were shot in the back as they crawled to it.
Jeez.
Shrapnel wounds to his face from earlier caused
Benavidez's
vision to be blurred from the blood in his eyes.
It's the understatement of the century, but like...
An NVA soldier butted his rifle into Benavidez's head and jaw and slashed his arm with his bayonet. He shouted to O'Connor to shoot, but he was too drugged from morphine to react. Benavidez pulled out his Bowie knife and stabbed the NVA soldier till he was dead.
Jeez.
He then dragged Mousseau to the helicopter and killed 2 more NVA with an AK-47 who were out of the helicopter's side gunner's arc of fire.
They based Rambo on this motherfucker or what?
To get the interpreter and destroy any classified material, with blood still obscuring his vision. Only then did he allow the others to pull him onto the helicopter, the last man to leave the battlefield. At this point, the round that had hit his stomach had exposed his intestines, which he was trying to hold in with his hands. The helicopter, badly shot up and with no instruments left, managed to take off.
Fucking hell, holding your own intestines in, jeez. I think I've said fuck like 18 times or more.
The wounded were unloaded and examined one by one. It had turned out that Benavidez had even loaded 3 dead enemy soldiers into the helicopter in case they had classified materials. They were to the side, as was Benavidez. He couldn't move or speak because of the broken jaw from the rifle butt. The blood over his eyes had glued them shut. There were 37 bayonet, bullet, and shrapnel wounds all over his body. 37! Dead. The medics started placing him in a body bag and started zipping him up when a friend noticed him and said, "That's Roy Benavidez." The doctor said there was nothing that could be done, but Benavidez mustered his last bit of energy and spat in the doctor's face, causing the doctor to say, "I think he'll make it." he was flown to Japan for intensive surgery, then Brooke Army Medical Center, Fort Sam Houston, where he stayed for almost a year. Roy Benavidez had survived 6 hours in hell and saved 8 lives. Benavidez's commander had put him in for the Distinguished Service Cross because the process for awarding a Medal of Honor would take much longer, and he was unsure if Benavidez would live or die before he could have received it.
Jeez.
Finally, on February 24th, 1981, President Ronald Reagan would present Roy Benavidez the Medal of Honor. Reagan said if the story of his heroism were a movie script, you would not believe it. Benavidez said of his actions, "The real heroes are the ones who gave their lives for their country. I don't like to be called a hero. I just did what I was trained to do." Master Sergeant Roy Benavidez died on November 29th, 1998, at the age of 63.
Oh, good dude. I mean, like, you know.
Subscribe for more Vietnam War
Obviously.
history videos.
That was, as always, check out the link right at the bottom of the description if you want to watch the video that was just there without my reaction to it. I didn't really sum up the last one or my thoughts on the last one as well because I was sort of like hit in the feels, you know. As I said, I'll put a link in like a couple of seconds after I finish talking now. There'll be a thumbnail thing that you can click on if you haven't seen that other Medal of Honor video I reacted to. But yeah, that's fucking badass. Like I said last time, I don't know if I'd have it in me. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. But then, like, you know, I haven't gone through all the fucking years of training that they have and all that sort of stuff as well. So it's like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's a bit nature versus nurture is what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if I'd been nurtured into being that much of a badass, maybe I would be. But I wasn't. Let me tell you. Like, I keep looking at the screen. Like, yeah, that's hardcore. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like this. If you're still watching this, and this is the type of content you like of mine, hit me up in the comment section. Let me know. Yeah, I'll see you when I look at you. You'll see me when you look at me. Thanks so much for watching.